Good morning. It is 7:01 and it is a quiet attendance both on Zoom and in person on this sleety, icy day. I imagine we'll have more folks rolling in as the day goes on in the Zoom space and in person. It is icy out there. David Jones, I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods right now, but man, is it cold. It's about 20 degrees and slush
Yeah.
outside. Okay, I'd love to call this meeting to order. Any announcements for the group? I think we'll do announcements at the end too. I think we'll have more folks here so we can do a rewrap with announcements since it's a slow roll of a morning. I am unsure of who our inspirator is today. I bet that Nancy, our Toastmaster, could tell me who is giving the inspiration.
Good morning, Kate.
It's Margot. Thank you, Margot, for jumping in. Also, I
No
emailed you late
problem.
last night. You probably already saw it, but we can connect later.
Yes, and that will work just fine. You just have to tell me what part you want, okay?
Okay,
All
awesome.
right, that
Margot,
will
the
work.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. This week is the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of trees. So I have some ways you can be like a tree. Grow toward the light, live righteously, and let your reach exceed your gap. Provide refuge. Trees give food, shelter, and shade. Be a source of comfort to those in need. Share your fruits. Reach out to those to bring sweetness and sustenance to others. Be supple in the wind. You may be stronger than you think. Bend like the willow to survive life's storms. Grow stronger through life's experience. Just like a tree's rings, record its journey through drought and rain. Add layers of wisdom as you grow. Be a team player. Trees can only be as strong as the forest that surround it. Have a lasting impact. Trees provide oxygen, clean air, water, enrich the soil, and support each other. Leave the world a little better. And be rooted. You're standing on the shoulders of those who came before you. So be strong and live long. Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Margot. Let us stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Margot, for those wise words. Did you say the holiday of trees is this week? Oh, you're on mute again. I would love to hear, though. Those pesky
There
devices.
we go. Yes, it is the birthday of trees, a holiday called Tu B'Shvat. And the tradition is you have to eat a fruit with a peel, a fruit with a pit, and a fruit where you eat the whole thing.
Fruit with a peel, a fruit with a pit, and a fruit with the whole thing. That is our goal for the day, folks. Get your fruit and fiber for the day with the trees. In the space today on Zoom so far, we have Margot and my mom, Beth, and David Jones, and Sylvia, Mike Licata, and that's all I can see from where I am standing. In person, we have Jill and Steve and Dave Licata and Joe Budnack and Jackie Kenny, and we have Maggie Craig, Len Thornton, Marty Johnston, Mike Florio, our Toastmaster of the day, Nancy Ferry, and our district director, Avis Brody, is also here. Hi, Avis. Thank you for being here today. And it looks like also in Zoom we have Sylvia. I think I missed you at first. I couldn't see you in the way the lineup was. I am happy to now hand the lectern. Oh, and Eric Schneider just walked in also. Did I catch any other? We had a lot of stragglers, like I said, for the ice. Okay, off to a wonderful morning with our heart health. I hope you wore red. Thank you, Nancy Ferry. Ooh, love your nails too.
Thank you. Hey, this morning we're going to use a theme of heart health because it's the month of health awareness as well as Valentine's Day. So this little less than 1 pound heart, the strongest muscle in our body. Every 33 seconds, someone dies in the US with the #1 killer, cardiovascular disease. This little heart deserves to be taken good care of, to be treated well. Like we celebrate our Valentines of the people that we love ourselves first, and love our hearts. It beats over 100,000 times a day, pumping 5 quarts a minute through 660,000 miles of blood vessels. Do you know how many miles that is? Twice around the equator. We have that many blood vessels in our system. That just blew me away. So we started already with our inspiration. I'd like to thank Len for always being faithful and being here and setting up so that the people who couldn't make it today are here on the Zoom world. We appreciate that we can share those opportunities. That's one of the good things that came from COVID. Our word master, I see her preparing diligently with blue tape so that we will all be able to see it. And Jill Roaring is going to bring us the word of the day. Jill. Wearing red.
I won't show you how far I am down wearing red. I couldn't wear a white shirt. Wasn't thinking too clearly there. Okay. My word of the day, courtesy of Steve, who thought of it. Extra credit to Steve, is proactive. I was first, I think, heart health, as I can think of as cardiac attack and cardiac myoinfarction and that sort of thing. And I didn't think that would work too well in table topics. No. So we have proaction, which is taking action by causing change and not only reacting to change when it happens, and acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. So be sure to use it during table topics and during the rest of the meeting. And let's all be proactive about our heart health.
Thank you, Jill. What a great word for the day. Proactive. Reason why I am interested in this topic is because I thought I was being proactive. However, I now have a cardiologist that's my best friend. Well, not quite. I have to pay her to be my best friend. Oh, let's see. We are at the Master. Kate, please come back and tell us about your responsibility as Master. And for those on Zoom, Kate has red pants on. Okay. So she's following.
Okay, I would like to handle some housekeeping, only because we have a lot of Toastmasters and a guest in the space. And now, because Mary had to skip today, I jumped in to be the presiding officer and Steve's evaluator. And I would love someone else to take on the Master role if anyone is so inclined. And grammarian also. It could be separate roles if 2 separate people would like to take Master grammarian. We also have combined them to be the Ag Master. Len will count the ahs. Would you like me to explain or would you like to do it yourself? You all know, you're all here. We don't have any guests in the space that I'm aware of. You know what the ah counter is. He will be counting, so don't do them. Anybody for grammarian? Anybody? Anybody? I do like the grammarian role. I could jump in, but I don't want to step on toes. We could also skip it, but don't make any mistakes today. Don't make any grammatical mistakes. Your choice. All right, thanks so much.
Was there anyone on Zoom land that was just raising their hands to be grammarian and we didn't see you?
I can take that over, Nancy.
Who was that?
Beth.
Thank you so much, Beth. Double duty, yes. That means you were going to give us a quote as well. Go right ahead.
So I will be watching throughout the meeting and listening for the use of exceptional and maybe not so exceptional grammar and try to report on that. I have two quotes for the day. The first one, piggybacking off of what Nancy said, your heart works tirelessly, beating around 100,000 times a day. Treat it with the love and care it deserves. And we all need to be a bit proactive for the next. Exercise is medicine for your heart. Make it a daily prescription. Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Toastmaster.
Beth. And now we're going to ask Marty to come up. One of the proactive things that we can do for our heart is to laugh, have gratitude, and smile. Find ways to be happy. So hopefully Marty will make us all laugh today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters. According to something I found on Google under cardiology, the cartoon, I believe it's called Glaspergen. And the scene is this man comes into the doctor's office and he must have just had open heart surgery at some point in time because it looks like a railroad track across his chest. And the doctor says to him, "Sir, now, whenever your cholesterol goes too high, a signal will be sent to the kitchen, and it automatically locks the kitchen doors and it turns on your treadmill." So, Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Oh, thank you for that laugh. Our time, excuse me, our timer this morning, also wearing red, is Jackie Kinney. And a heart.
Thank you. And a heart. Good morning, everyone. I also am best friends with my cardiologist. He had to replace a valve in my heart a couple of years ago, but I have always paid attention to my heart health because my oldest brother had to have open heart surgery before he was 40 years old, and that is a very scary thing to see. So definitely pay attention. We are going to see red, green, and yellow this morning. 1:30 to 2 minutes for table topics, speeches as defined, and evaluators 2 to 3 minutes. So pay attention to your timing, everyone. Good morning.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. Heart disease is the greatest single threat to your health and the leading cause of death globally. It's not just us in the United States. Sometimes we get blamed for being the worst at eating and those kind of things. That felt comforting to me. That it's globally and not just us. And also when I sit in my cardiologist's office, I think, okay, it's not just me. I'm not. The good news is you can help manage your heart health through dietary choices, regular exercise, and stress management. Our quiz master, I believe, is up next. Right? And I don't see a name. Do we not have a quiz master? Nobody signed up and I missed that. Marty, double duty. Come on up. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest, our District Director, Avis. As Quizmaster, I'll not only be testing my listening skills, which will be a challenge because I have 2 hearing aids today. I found the other one. And some of you that have hearing aids can relate. But anyway, I'll be testing everyone's listening skills and jotting down some different factoids, if you will. And I'll be raising some questions at the end of the meeting to see how well we all paid attention. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, and everyone. I hope you're being proactive and listening this morning during the meeting. Thank you.
I wasn't very proactive in being Toastmaster because I missed some of these gaps, but thank you all for stepping up. Oh, forgot that. And our general evaluator, Mike Florio, sporting a little bit of red on his hat.
Right there. Go Sabres. I know. Who'd have thought? This is kind of near and dear to me. This, heart. Talking about heart disease. I lost my dad. He was only 60 when he passed away from heart disease. So I know firsthand how important this is and how important it is to be proactive. So I appreciate what you're doing this morning. Welcome guests, Peggy. Welcome back again. And Abbas. So as the general evaluator, I evaluate the theme of the meeting, which I already said I like to begin with. So that's good. And we also evaluate everyone in a kind and honest way where we'll point out things for people. Oh, you said 5 O's. You're going, but we point it out so that people can learn. And this is where the learning begins, I think, with when you become a Toastmaster, is the evaluations, right? They go over in a kind way how you can improve, and I will be evaluating even the evaluators. So that's my job this morning. Yeah.
Thank you most kindly. That leads us to our table topics. Mike Licata, I saw you on Zoom, did I not?
Yes. Good morning,
Good.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. Nancy, I want to thank you for this topic this morning. It really got me thinking, and I've recently gone to the doctor, and it's one of the things that they focused on is heart health and medication and doing a better diet and exercise. So with table topics this morning, I will start in Zoom, and I will ask Sylvia, what exercise or dietary tips do you have to be a proactive individual and to learn how to take better care of your health? Sylvia.
Well, thank you, Michael, for the opportunity. And I'm laughing because me and exercise, it's not friends. We are very distant at times. I have good intentions. I want to be proactive and go to the gym every day if I can, or at least 3 times a week. And I find more excuses not to go than go. And as I was listening to the introduction of heart health, I did learn something, Nancy. Did you say 100,000 times a day your heart beats? I was taking that number. I love numbers. Times it 365 days a year. And my dad, unfortunately, passed away about what, in 2013, 11 years, 12 years ago, it will be. And his heart just stopped. It was overworked, apparently. He was tired at age 90. So he had a good life. But it just baffled us because the heart problems did not go in his family. Cancer did mostly. His siblings and his mother and his father passed away with cancer. And he always had good blood pressure, low blood pressure, but he always had good physicals. He just had a physical 2 months before he passed away. And they couldn't believe he was at his age of 90 and all his vitals were great. And so I'm hoping to follow in his path and be proactive, but he did walk a lot. And so I'm going to have to start walking. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, Table Topics.
Thank you, Sylvia. And I will now turn to our guest in the room, Avis. Do you have any, Avis? Thank you for coming to the meeting this morning. Do you have any health tips? Do you have any dietary tips that you could offer the club in terms of heart health and that kind of thing? Avis.
Use the word of the day.
Definitely use the word of the day. It'll give me time to think about what I'm going to say. It's so important to be proactive about your health. I know that, but you can hear this cough, this voice that I have. I've been sick with pneumonia. Yes. So, my goodness, be careful out there. Get exercise. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. Do I exercise? No. Okay. Does going up and down the stairs in your house count? Yikes. Yeah. It's so important to be proactive about your health. I know that. What you don't know about me is that in my career, I do ultrasound and echocardiography was my specialty. So I've looked at tons of hearts and I know what makes a good one and what does not. You'd think that would make a difference to me, right? I don't know. This is really difficult. Well, advice. Get exercise, whether you want to or not. Go out. Don't go out today when it's icy because you might slip. Stay here. Join the gym. You're here anyway. There, that's my advice for today. I don't see any lights. I don't know how long I have to keep. I'm close. Oh, okay. Yikes. Oh, I know what you could do for exercise. You could come, there's an area contest on Saturday. Eric is the sergeant at arms. I invite everyone to come. It is, yeah, it's at the Amherst Library in Buffalo. It's at John something. You know what? It's where your contest was last year. You came last year. Steve, you were there at the contest last year. So were other people. Same place. It is the Area 13 contest. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avis. And now I will turn to Maggie. I know a lot of what do you do? Stress is a big influence in terms of heart health. And what proactive approaches do you have, Maggie, as what to reduce stress in your life? What are some of the activities that you do, Maggie?
Maggie wearing red. Good morning and thank you. Wait. Hey, it's not here. Oh, yeah.
Good morning. I've never had to put a microphone up that's never happened in my entire life. It's great. Wow, what should you do? Stress, right? Get a puppy. Get a puppy. My husband, my loving dear husband, who also relieves stress from me, bought me a puppy that was born on May 1st. My birthday's May 6th. And it's a beautiful miniature Aussie, and his name is Zuko. And Zuko wakes up in the morning, and he comes and he cuddles. And then my husband, again relieving stress, takes my beautiful puppy out to pee. And when Zuko comes back, he comes to the bedroom door. And he can leap like 18 feet. We have a very big bedroom. I hate to say it, but it's true. It's like the most enormous bedroom. I didn't build it. And he leaps and he plants himself right on your face. And again, he licks you to death. I can't stop laughing. I cannot stop laughing. And I thank my husband every day for this gift, not just of the puppy, but of youth and this relief of stress. You start your day laughing. I I'm stressed to go downstairs with this puppy now. I'm happy to go down. So if you want to release some stress, help your heart, be proactive, get a puppy, and thank me later. Have a great day.
Thank you, Maggie. And I will turn it over to our timer, Jackie Kenny. Jackie, how did we do on time this morning?
Everyone did very well. Sylvia at 1:52, Avis at 2:04, and Maggie at 1:43. So all qualify by time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. And I'll turn it over to Jill. How did the word do?
Right now, I'm only reporting on the table topics, and all three of our contestants used the word properly. So they're all eligible.
Thank you, Jill. And with that, all three of our contestants qualified. I will turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Miss Nancy Ferry. Nancy.
Thank you. What a great table topics time. Learned a lot from everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see. We need to cast our ballots. Is somebody collected? Kate's collecting them for us. She's married today. We'll call her Mary Kate. Sister Mary Kay or something. That's kind of. Some of our table topics, folks mentioned some good things that we can do to be proactive in our heart health. Talked about laughter. We already laughed today. Gratitude. What are you grateful for today? Think of our health. I'm grateful for Toastmasters. I love Toastmasters. When I first came in here, my knees were shaking and I thought, I don't know what I am doing in here, but a friend told me that when I say, every other word, that it was kind of annoying. She suggested I go to Toastmasters. I looked it up and I saw that there was one in Lockport. I was like, now I don't have an excuse that there's too far away. What am I gonna do? I guess I have to go. And I did. We were at Tom's Diner and had breakfast and met all kinds of awesome people. And I don't say all the time. Every once in a while I say it, but my I don't know, my awareness just livens up. Say, whoops, let's not say that. Because once I say it, then I'm on a roll. I'm so appreciative for all the things that I've learned here. So that takes us to our speaker portion. I was giving the speakers time to catch their breath and organize themselves in whatever way they needed to. Our first speaker is wandering around. Eric, are you ready to show? First, I have to ask your evaluator to come out. David Jones, you're not going to come up. Please stay where you are. And tell us about what you know about Eric's speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and Avis. Eric's speech is from Innovative Planning Level 1, Writing a Speech with Purpose. And the purpose of the speech is learning basic methods for writing speeches and presenting a well-organized speech. This speech title is Writing Poetry, so please welcome Eric Schneider.
Eric.
And Jackie, the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Yep. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Fellow Toastmasters, our guests, Peggy, Avis. Peggy, welcome back. It's good to have you with us this morning. I would like to do a heartwarming speech. As we all know, we want to relieve some stress. And what better way to relieve stress is by writing poetry? How did this come about, you may ask? I took an English course last fall of Intro to Creative Writing. And I thought, why not do some poetry writing? We are going through some tough times in this world today. And what better way is to do a poetry reading? I am happy to announce that I created a Facebook page of poetry readings. And I decided to launch that about a couple weeks ago because I think that as a learning disabled person, I want to show my appreciation of, saying there are some good things to come with poetry. And this morning, I actually wrote a couple that I have done through social media, if anybody follows me. Some of them are very personal. And one of them I found online, and thanks to Kate, because she's been sending me some inspirational poetry. Thank you, I appreciate that. The one is called Not Okay. I am not okay today. So in the absence of okay, what else can I be? I can be gentle. I can be unashamed. I can turn my pain into connection. I can be a student of stillness. I can be awake to nature. I can sharpen my empathy against the stone of my discomfort. I'm not okay, but I am worthy of many things. Worthy things. The reason why I want to read this poem, because there has been tough times that I have sustained with, don't want to get too personal, but I have had suicidal thoughts in the past. And this has been a coping mechanism for me as to talk about my disability, why I have it, and how can I make good of it. So that's one of them I decided to read, but I also wrote about my disability as a whole. I didn't have a title for this, but I would like some feedback too at the end for a title for this poem. I am a learning disabled person. I'm a learning disabled person with a purpose. I'm a learning disabled person with strength and positivity. I'm a learning disabled person that makes people happy in times of sadness. I'm a learning disabled person that tells people everything will be okay. I'm a learning disabled person with hope, courage, and determination. Why am I saying this? Because this is how I am. All I do is try. Try very hard not to give up of what's important to me. This is who I am as a person, and this disability will not define me for who I am. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. You can tell this is a proactive speech I prepared this morning. There's also one more poem I want to read. It's called Stay Positive. We all need to stay positive. I always tell people, stay positive because you don't want any negativity weighing you down of what you want to do in your life. Stay positive. Take charge. Repeat the words, I'm not letting anything stop me for what I want to do. Stay positive. The world is a scary place, but you can share the love and positivity to everyone around you. Continue to do that all day, every day. Stay positive. We are all in this together. Spread the love and unity. Stay positive. Things will get better. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I invite you all to read some poetry, maybe even write some poetry. It's good for your heart health, and it's good for your soul as well. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Eric. You always bring inspiration. Let's see. Our second speaker will be Phil Russell, who is evaluated by Dave Licata on his way up here in red.
The color of my shirt is a complete accident. I had no idea. Yesterday, a gentleman that I bowl with, oh, don't tie me yet, don't start. The gentleman said, what's the significance of that logo, this bit here? And I said, well, I was born on November 2nd, 1948. And 10 days later, little Prince Charles was born, the Queen Elizabeth's oldest boy. And I've been convinced my whole life there was a screw up with the storks, and it's just not fair. So I try to support them by, buying this Welsh T-shirt. My job this morning is daunting. You can start now. I've only known Phil since, I don't know, the fall of 1963. We share a lot of similar traits. He is the cruise director for the class of 65. I am cruise director for the class of 67. He had a few girlfriends that I coveted, I'll admit it. So it's hard because I've known him so long, and the pressure's on him really to come up with something different. But he's working on vocal variety and body language. So that's what we're going to look for today. And we want a well-organized speech. We want to see how he uses his voice communication to enhance the speech. It may be humorous, informal, any style he wants to do, and believe me, he'll do anything he wants, trust me. And he'll use the speech profile resource I have to complete my evaluation. Without further ado, it's my mentor, my friend, Phil Russell with Speak Up. Speed up, not. 5 to 7. Darn it! I spilled it. Metamucil again. Oh, I gotta take my pills. Wait a minute. I gotta do my exercises this morning, my yoga, my stretching. Oh man. Oh man. How much time do I have? I know I got up early enough. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our guests. Speed up, not. How was the drive-in today? Yeah, pretty icy. I got up and I said, and I left with plenty of time. However, I wasn't expecting what I ran into. That was amazing. And I've done this a couple of days. That reminds me of a story. Colorado, been there? When you're going towards the mountains, it's nice and flat. Then you get into the mountains, of course, it's mountains. We're going about 40, 45 miles an hour. Tom was driving. It was really icy, flat and icy. and we slowed down. Tom is a very good driver. His dad was a policeman, taught him how to drive properly. Speed limit 75. 75 miles an hour in Colorado. Okay? This guy was going 75 right by us. Right by us. Then all of a sudden, donuts, right into the middle of the field. Had to be 200 yards off the road. Didn't flip over or anything because it's all flat and it was icy. But he's there. Tom goes, should I stop? I says, Tom, do you want to end up like him? We could call, but he isn't hurt. He probably has a little brown spot in his pants, but that's probably about it. He's safe. He's safe. He's safe. Metamucil. Safe. Did I speed up this morning? No. 30 miles an hour. That was about it. And I made it. Let me read you a little something I've got here. It's from the Harvard Business Review. The insidious effects of hurrying. It's by Candy Waynes, January 27th, 2025. As the demands of work and personal life blur in an era of hyperconnectivity and hustle culture, hurry sickness, characterized by behaviors and emotions like impatience, chronic rushing, and a constant sense of time scarcity, is more insidious than ever. Think about it. Think about it. How about that guy that's sitting in the middle of the field? How about my Metamucil all over the counter? I did my exercises. I have a little yoga program. It takes me about a half an hour first thing in the morning. I like to do it before I get going because it brings gets the blood flowing, loosens me up, a little stretching. It's good for you. And it takes me about a half an hour. Then I've put a lot of things onto the plate today. And what I've done is come to Toastmasters, do a speech. After this, I have to go to the office, put some ink in the printer, and get ready for an appointment for financial planning. We'll do that. And then I'm going to go to the health club and work out. I'm not going to rush. That's why I have an hour before the appointment after this meeting. And then I go to the health club, and I don't rush there, but I do it at a nice pace to work on my heart, cardiovascular. And that's good. Now, what's after that? What is after that? I'm going to slow down, go home, get a nice something to eat, and go to bed early. How about that? The idea is that, like the last speech I talked about, it might be important to slow down. Let's finish this quote here. Let's see here. If you find yourself with an urgent need to slow down, your health, your teams, the people you serve through work, and your loved ones will all thank you for taking steps to free yourself from hurry sickness. It's not about how fast you go. It's about how well you use the time you have. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Phil. And our third speaker, Steve Smith, and Kate will be evaluating him. Thank you for stepping up for another role.
Good morning again, everyone, honored guests, and our Toastmasters family. Steve is an experienced Toastmaster, and I wish that Mary could be here today, but I am eager to evaluate Steve. He is giving us the Speech with Purpose project. The length, Madam Timer, is 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of this project is for the member to review basic methods for writing a speech and present well-organized speech. And we're looking for any style, any content, and I don't think it says here your path. I didn't look at that. I should have. What is the path? Do you remember? Of course, the Steve is the humorous path, and I believe that's good. I am eager to hear it. Get a belt out of wrestling. Get a belt out of wrestling, Steve Smith.
Thank you. Does anybody out here watch pro wrestling? Ah, Mike's a wrestling fan. Well, you should. It is a study in public communication. That's my purpose here today, to show you how it's more than just the BS that most of us think it is, and it is. It's a study in public communication. And now I say communication because it involves verbal and nonverbal communication. When the wrestlers are in the ring, they're telling a story. And they do it with their gestures, overacting to the nth degree, yes. But let me set this up. Wrestling has to have a story, known as a work. You have two combatants. You have the good guy, which is known as the face or baby face. You have the bad guy, which is known as the heel. Now they set up, now there's a whole department called creative. They come up with these storylines or works to explain why they're fighting each other. And they set it up over a period of time. They take a long time in what they think they're being subtle. They set it up to lure the audience in. And you, the audience, by the way, are referred to as marks. And that's for a reason. Someone like me who knows what's going on, I'm called a smart mark. They love to aim it at me, but then they do what's called a swerve, which means they change up what you think is going to happen. And they're good at this. This is how they make their money. This is how they put butts in seats. I'll be good, which is how they refer to it. There was a man named Eric Bischoff who was very big in wrestling. He said controversy creates cash, which is true. That means if they get you thinking, change things up, you're going to pay money to keep watching the show. Is wrestling fake? Of course it is. But it's more than that. These guys have to go out there and lure you in with their storyline. Now we throw a third factor in here. You got the heel and you got the face. Now they'll throw in a manager. Who's the manager? He's this little pipsqueak that you want to... Because his job is to make you want to hit him. He's a little guy with a big mouth, usually. And that's his job, and he's good at it. The better ones are really good at it. He can get you all fired up before the wrestlers even hit the ring. You got the crowd up in an uproar, wanting to see the heel get what's coming to him. Now, every now and then, the manager's job is also to interfere on behalf of the heel so we can get away with stuff. The manager's got the ref over here, so the heel's doing something bad to the face. Every now and then, the baby face gets a hold of the manager, and he'll haul him up in the ring. Does he just haul off and hit him? No. You got to work the crowd. He's got to sit there and get the crowd screaming. And these wrestlers love what they're doing. And it is, I say it's fake, but it's real. The injuries are real. Some of these guys have laundry lists of injuries they've incurred. Why? I'll tell you why. And Dave can back me up on this. When you're up on stage, the ability to have that whole crowd screaming at you, you're controlling the crowd. That is power, and that's addictive. And they're willing to do anything to keep getting that fix, if you will, of controlling the crowd. But that's how they do it. Like I say, sit there doing these stupid overacting gestures, but you get the crowd into it. I have as much fun at a wrestling match watching the crowd as I do the wrestlers. Matter of fact, I was at a wrestling match years ago, Big John Stud. I was sitting ringside. I was watching him work the crowd and watching the crowd react, and I'm laughing my backside off. And then I look up and he's standing right there glaring down at me because I'm laughing at him. And oops. I had other wrestlers, they sitting ringside would land right at my feet. This one guy lands right at my feet. Now there's another trick. I wasn't really going to get into this. The blood is mostly real. They do what is called blading. They'll hide a little razor blade on him and do a little cut up here because face cuts bleed. You want your opponent to cut you? No, you're going to do it. And this one guy bladed, and he got thrown out of the ring. He landed right at my feet, and he's looking up at me. So what do? I flashed a picture right in his face. I'm sure he loved that. But it's a study in people, a study in public communication, watching how they come out there and they set up these things by every word they say, every action, which is set up, as I said, by creative to get you involved in this, get you drawn into the storyline, to make you want to see this bout. What else do I want to? Oh, yeah, the whole storyline, this whole world is called kayfabe. Kayfabe. I'm told kayfabe is pig Latin for fake. I don't quite see it, but okay. It's been known as kayfabe forever. I started watching wrestling with my brother when we were kids because my grandfather watched wrestling, much to the chagrin of my mother. Now, another way they create controversy is do what we call a turn. The heel will turn face or the face will turn heel. And they've set this up over weeks. And he does it with facial gestures. Sit there every time somebody's doing something, you see him thinking. And all of a sudden, after setting it up for weeks, they'll do the turn. And again, you've got the crowd screaming, yeah. So I'm encouraging everybody, that's my call to action, go out and check out pro wrestling. Yes, it's BS. Yes, it's a lot of glitz. And she's laughing at me. She doesn't like wrestling, by the way. She doesn't like the three. What? Well, you pay for your fun. So go check out a pro wrestling. It is on, as she said, you've got to get certain networks to get it now, and they're making it harder to get. But it's a fun time. Study the crowd, not the wrestlers. Watch how they're working the crowd. It's a study in public communications. We can all use this. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Did somebody pick my? Oh, scare me. Panic. If I don't have everything in my written down papers, then I'm like deer in the headlights sometimes. I'll give the evaluators a few minutes to finish up their thoughts. One of the timer first, I'm so sorry. I saw you on the edge of your chair and I just thought maybe you're gonna go get some more tea. See if it's not right in front of me.
All right, everybody made their time. Eric at 5:37, Phil at 6:05, and Steve at 6:47 because Jill shut him up in time.
So we heard 3 wonderful speeches. Please record your opinions and your thoughts to the person and share some feedback and make a vote. One of the things that we can all do as a proactive way to care for our heart is to eat a lot of antioxidants. My doctor told me the other day to eat a lot of antioxidants, and I said, oh, I already do that. That's why I thought I was being proactive. However, some of the things on the list expanded my interest in antioxidant foods. I've never eaten pomegranate, but now I get it in a juice form and I put it in my water. Lots of fruits and salad dressing. Oh, I'm going to stick to the pomegranates because the dressing kind of negates the good stuff. Lots of fruits and berries, tomatoes, carrots, peppers, sweet potatoes, broccoli, prunes, cabbage. Did I say spinach, kale, artichokes, nuts, seeds, and spices and herbs, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, clove, rosemary, oregano. I was going to say Oregon. I think I forgot the O on here. Dark chocolate. Now, not the sweet stuff, the real sweet stuff. It's the dark chocolate that really has the antioxidants. Cocoa powder, cocoa nibs are the coconut, the cocoa beans that are put in, they're made into these little teeny nibs. They have no sweetener in it, but they're really good in your yogurt. Also avoiding sugar. I do that anyway. Whole grains, beans, lentils, green tea. What I eat is 12 ounces of vegetables for lunch and 12 for supper. And I eat a fruit for breakfast and a fruit before I go to bed. And I feel like I'm doing all these antioxidant things, but still your heart does what it does, and there's hereditary things in your family that just can't control. So I figure if I can't control those, what I can control is what I eat and what I put into my body and how I care for my body and how I exercise and try to laugh. I have a hard time laughing. I'm not one of I try, but it's not a natural thing for me. So I am going to ask our evaluators to come up one at a time, obviously. And well, Dave, again, you can't come up here, but please highlight yourself and share your evaluation of Eric's speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you, Eric, for your speech or presentation. First, you didn't correct me, but you provided information I did not. I failed to give your time, and you did that, so that was perfect. So the timer knew how much time you needed. And then just the basics, you had good vocal variety, eye contact, hand gestures, the usual. And then you started speaking about how to relieve stress by writing poetry, which was relevant. I don't know if you had prepared it for that, but heart healthy. So it was just a perfect tie-in to tonight's theme. And I always appreciate when you're vulnerable, when you talk about your learning challenges and how you've overcome them and worked through them. And then you even talk about them in your poetry. You gave us 3 poems, which I thought were great. The Not Okay, I thought was good because there's days where we're all not okay. Your learning challenges and then your positivity poetry. And I do have 3 rooms for improvement or areas that I was questioning because the theme of the title of your speech is writing poetry. But I think you were pretty much reading poetry. And I was just concerned about whether you wanted to talk about poetry and you didn't get there, or if it was just about reading. The other item was I didn't know if any of those were originals, if you wrote any of those 3 poems or they were just read from other authors. And then finally, you did at the end challenge us to read and write poetry, but you didn't address it. Like I don't know how to write poetry. I know I'm supposed to rhyme and stuff, and obviously you've been reading poetry for a long time, but I was just curious as if you've actually written poetry and in the future maybe you can share some of your original content. And the only other item I noticed was you were locked behind the lectern, which is fine, but I've had poets come to our club before as guest speakers, and they have their paper and they're walking around and doing their gestures. And recently at my club, I did a challenge. Actually, it was last week where I asked all the speakers that got up on stage to do a lap, meaning walk back where Mike Florio is. I don't know if the mic will go that far, but just take a walk back there, and because that gets you outside of your comfort zone, outside of the stage, and just get into the audience. So that would be my challenge. See how far you can go into the audience, especially doing poetry, reading poetry, because you're connecting with people. But I always enjoy hearing your poetry, and thanks for your speech today.
Thank you, David. And I just wanted to say good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you.
You said
I
this
read-
evening. And I just,
Oh, did I?
yes, you did. I just wanted to say good morning.
They all blend in together.
Our second evaluator is Dave Licata. And he is evaluating Phil Russell. Dave Licata, go ahead.
Just a brief aside about my heart problems. I have been the guest of the Gates Vascular people twice. The first one was the most memorable. They ran a little camera in my arm and he's looking at my heart, and you're only half out, so I'm watching it too. And I noticed that the doctor looked rather down. I said, what's wrong, doctor? He goes, oh, my wife, she says we don't spend enough time with the family. So I said, you gotta wedge it in, doc. And I started giving him advice while I'm on the operating table, but that's me. All right, now we will commence. Well, Eric's wonder what he can rhyme with commence, but we're going to evaluate my dear friend Phil Russell. Boy, Phil, you got our attention today. Your volume was exceptional when you opened up. You did a fine demonstration of vocal variety. You went up and down, back and forth, over and under. You sped up, you slowed down in the appropriate places, and you certainly roped us in. And it's always, we all come up here to teach something, and I'm glad that you took the time to teach us how to slow down. Now, room for improvement. It's so sad. I knew he was talking about Tommy McLaughlin, and Tommy McLaughlin's dad was a policeman, and his nickname was Pepsi McLaughlin, and he was a legendary cop in Lockport. And when he died, he was the oldest retired cop in New York State. So this gentleman lived a long life. So you had your Tom McLaughlin story demonstrating this questionable thing where people were speeding, but I felt, because I've known you so long, I was waiting for the counter anecdote where you could have talked about our dear friend Willie Daniels playing at 33 and a third. But you came full circle, and I want to give you credit about that. You talked about your spilling your medicine twice and brought us back and put a nice bow on this speech to do this morning. You demonstrated not only vocal variety, but your gestures were outstanding as well. And I have to wonder who got you into your first theatrical experience so you would know more about gestures. But I learned a lot this morning from you, Phil, and I'm grateful. And now I know why you spend so much time on the tee box when we golf. So we cleared up that mystery. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you, Dave. And our third evaluator is Kate, who is evaluating Steve. Last minute notes. There you go.
Thank you, Steve. I could not be less interested in wrestling, and you made me so interested. This this speech had a purpose, and even for non-wrestling fans like myself, and I am presuming many others in this room, you gave us an adventure this morning. You have so many tools in your toolbox, as we say, right? Those of us who know Steve, probably were surprised by this topic this morning. When I think of Steve, I think of some amazing presentations of the person that he is. And what comes to mind? Astronomy and the sky, gardening, local politics, community theater, Edgar Allan Poe, Dracula, haunted houses. And boom, we swerved today Ah, got it. We swerved into the world of wrestling. And I learned a lot of lingo and jargon, and I know some of you did as well. Heel, mark, smart mark, swerve, blading, kayfabe. Oh my goodness. I guess I'm thrilled to have these now in my knowledge base. You didn't use notes. You were smooth. You were poised. You had excellent facts and quotes supporting your message. Even gave us a little hint of why you watched Back to Your Grandfather. Just tuck that in there. We got a little pushback from Jill. This was fantastic from start to finish, call to action. You gave us sweeping gestures, beyond sweeping gestures, and it is challenging with the lectern. It was clearly well planned, and I liked it start to finish. It is, as many of us know, so challenging to find improvements, suggestions for seasoned speakers. Okay, well, I noticed something that then I started doing, the lectern gripping. A lot of us do that. That's not a big deal, especially if we're new, because that gives us some confidence. It gives us a bit of a crutch to lie on. But we don't need to, and you don't need to. You have so many other gestures you use. This gets a little somewhat distracting. Maybe I could suggest some more eye contact with everyone across the room and the camera. You did give us pretty good eye contact, though. If I'm really looking for all of the things that we're looking at, the clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, interest and purpose, comfort level, you're so poised, and your specific and general speech purpose to educate us a bit more about why wrestling is amazing. Get a belt out of wrestling. Great title, even. This is so well done. To challenge yourself, I don't know. Perhaps you could invite Jill to give a rebuttal and then rebuttal back. I'm not sure. Dave started this last week because he said, Margot, we're going to have to invite your husband to give a rebuttal. I saw them at Tops later that day, and I told Jim, you're invited to give a rebuttal. And he said, yes. I don't know if he's coming. Thank you so much, especially Steve. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Lots of laughter today. What wonderful. What a wonderful way to celebrate our hearts, right? Please cast your ballots for one of our timer. I love you, Jackie. It's not on my sheet.
All right, everybody came in. Some just in the nick of time. David Jones, 247, David Licata, 250, and Kate, 319. I was getting nervous.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Now cast your ballots for one of our 3 evaluators. Going to Mike, when you get done writing, I'm going to invite you up here to call on some of the other things that we can do for our heart is reduce your salt intake. Except for me, I take salt tablets. Don't ask me why, because my blood pressure just never gets up there. So most of us have to take away salt. If you don't need it, just pass it my way. My wife always says, I'm going to get you a salt lick from the farm store. You have to be married to a farmer to understand those, like a what? Also reduce your blood sugar. Lots of fish, beans, I already named some of those things. And figure out ways to control your blood pressure by eating well. It can often help. And I'm going to ask Mike to come up.
You want me to do all of the reports too? Okay, I got it covered. Let's start with the theme this morning. Wonderful theme. And Nancy, way to step up. You know, that's what a Toastmaster does. You step up. Other person couldn't do it. And honestly, I got to be honest, I thought Carol Ann would be here this morning. I didn't see my email. So to have you here. I'm going, oh, what's Nancy standing over there for? But, you know, that's what we do. And you did a tremendous job. You got everybody pulled together. You filled in all of the positions. Everybody stepped up the way they normally would. And it was a great meeting. I really appreciate it. Thank you. As always. Now, this morning, evaluating the evaluators. Wow. We had 3 terrific speakers this morning. And these evaluators had a very tough job this morning because I watched the speeches, right, to see what I can find that I can help even the evaluators improve on. And I was so mesmerized with all 3 of the speeches that I'm going, wow, you know, Phil was great. Steve, Eric, emotional. I mean, they were just all 3 great speeches, and the evaluators had their work cut out for them. But they did their best to put together a nice sandwich approach, which Peggy, what we try and do with our sandwich approach for you is we start with something, you know, that you really liked about it. It could be anything. It could be, you know, something about the theme of it or some little portion of it. And then in between, we put a little meat in that sandwich of what you can improve on. You know, we try and do at least, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 things at best that we can ask you to try and work on to see if you can improve for the next time so that it brings you back in. You know, nothing that points it right out, but something that just says, you know, if you work on this, you'll be even better the next time. So, and then at the end, you put the bun underneath and you make sure that you've got something nice to say that draws them back in, right? And says, all right, you know what? I'm definitely going to go back. I was a little nervous, but I think I can do that improvement. So, David Jones did the typical sandwich. He had 3, 4 things that, that Eric could work on. And it was tough, really. I mean, his speech was very good. Writing versus reading, he talked about other authors, maybe, you know, who actually wrote some of the poems, how to, maybe he could have added that in there. The lectern walk, what did I wrote that down for a reason, to walk around the lectern. Yeah. And you know, it was very good. It was a very good speech about stress, and I thought the vocal variety portion of it was very good. Phil had his, or, I'm sorry, David had his work cut out for him with Phil. That's for sure. He looked for whatever he possibly could, but Phil's so entertaining up there with his speech that you know, what could we pick? Volume, vocal variety. Roped everybody in, slow down, the cop. I wasn't sure about the whole Willie Daniels thing. I don't know if too many people here know Willie Daniels, so that one might have tricked a few people up, but I remember Willie. Willie was a good guy. I remember it was Don't Go Quiet Into the Night. You remember when he did that speech? Do you remember that? It was awesome. I still remember it to this day. And he probably did it, what, 10 years ago? He passed away, Willie, but I still remember that day. He was on his game for sure. Anyway, I digress. Kate, trying to evaluate Steve. I mean, all right, I wasn't going to say anything, but when I was a kid, I was a pro wrestling fan, okay? The Iron Sheik, Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. I remember running into Ric Flair in an airport, and he had, I'm not kidding, he was the real deal. I mean, he lived it, right? So Ric Flair had 2 blondes on, one on each side walking through, and I walked past them, and I just stood there. You know, I'm going, oh my God, that's Ric Flair. And he goes like that to me, he winks and just kept walking by like I was nothing, you know. I was one of those marks, right, in the seat. Yeah. And anyway, I was expecting somebody maybe to, Steve, you could have maybe got up on one of the tables, had had the mask on or something, or maybe Jill would come over and put you in a headlock. Really work the crowd. Anyway, wow, I'm having too much fun up here. Okay, but anyway. We'll get Steve there from off the top rope doing the snooker move. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. We will have to go to reports now. Len, come on up and let's do some ahs and ums and have you.
Thank you, Michael. I'm now wearing red, courtesy of my gym bag, which happened to have this T-shirt in here. So whenever I do ah counter, this fear comes over me. How ironic would it be if I filled my report with ahs and ums, the very thing that I'm reporting on? I'll attempt not to do that. Our big problem this morning was long ands to connect our thoughts. And as I've said before, silence is golden. Do not use filler words. Nancy had a long and. Mike Licata had one. Eric Snyder had a couple of ahs, ums, not too bad. Mike, you take your word, 3 long ands and more than 5 ums. Kate had a couple ums, a long and. David Jones, rare for you. You had 4 ahs in your evaluation. And Sylvia had a long and. So just be conscious of those filler words we use. Form the complete sentence in your mind before you say it so that you're not trying to get a rhythm going with these filler words. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thanks, Len. Thanks for pointing that out for me. 5. Wow. I digress. We're going backwards here. Our grammarian this morning, Beth Banks. Beth, on Zoom.
Yes, I am on Zoom.
There you
Thank
are.
you, Mike. I have a few things. Most of my suggestions are good. A few little problems, ouches that I heard. Sylvia, it's very difficult to do table topics, but think about just slowing down a little. So you would change something like did not go with his family to was not a family trait or not hereditary. Not going with his family sounds like they were traveling somewhere. Throughout, we had a few restarts, but most of my evaluation, I guess, is really good. I loved some of the phrases we used. Nancy, my awareness livens up. I like that. It may not be totally grammatically correct, but I liked it. Eric used sharpen empathy. Negativity weighing you down. Both brought on really strong feelings in me, and I thought that's important when you're trying to get your points across. Dave Licata, I like the word daunting. Bill Russell, insidious effects of hurrying, time scarcity. They were both in your quote, but you obviously found it, so you used it well. Steve, public communication. I'm not sure I had heard that term really before, but I like that. I like much to the chagrin. Get a belt out of wrestling. That's hilarious. Nancy, just one little, and I know it's because you were nervous. You couldn't find your papers, but it didn't sound quite right to say in my written down papers. So just think about that. And Kate, using Steve's swerved into wrestling. Sounds like we were in a car, and this morning is a good term for that because there have been accidents from this ice. So I do like using that term. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. And Marty is waiting in the wing, so we'll bring you up. Marty, come on up. Quizmaster.
Thank you, Mike, fellow Toastmasters. Most welcome guest. As Quizmaster, as promised, I was going to be proactive and listen the best I could. I have seven questions to see how well everyone is listening. How much blood does your heart pump per day, approximately, for the average person? How many? Over 100,000 what? Over 100,000 beats it pumps a day. Wow, it's amazing. Sylvia said that in, I think it was approximately 2013, her dear father passed away. What was his age and what did she contribute to his longevity? Right? According to Avis, there's at the Amherst John James Audubon Library contest is when and what area is that? And what speeches are going to be at the contest? What are we holding? Speech, table topics and the international, right? According to Maggie, what is the gift her husband brings to her? The gift of laughter, right? The gift of laughter. What was the title of one of Eric's poems? Staying positive, correct. What year did Dave Licata say that he was the cruise director? 67. Bonus question. What year did he say Phil Russell was the cruise director? 65. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. According to Phil Russell, it's not about how fast you go, but what? How well you use your time. Right on. Steve Smith's call to action with wrestling and the study of communication was what? What was his call to action? To do what? Right on. That's it. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Excellent. Thanks, Marty. Well, let's see how proactive did this morning. I heard it a lot this morning, a lot of proactives. Jill, come on up. Hey.
All right. Well, it did fall off after table topics, but I marked Nancy for 4, but I think she did it 5 times. Of course, she was up here the most, and I have a feeling some of those were planned in her speech already. Beth used it once, Marty used it twice, Eric used it once, Mike just used it. And if you want to be proactive and watch pro wrestling, I know when it's on. Mondays, it's on Netflix at 8 o'clock. Dave Licati has a question. Yes, well, we got Netflix for the Christmas football games and wrestling. Friday it's on USA Network, so it's kind of close to not being paid for. You know, it's part of your regular cable package. And then they have the specials, which used to be called pay-per-views, which when they're pay-per-views, they've gone up to like $60 a time. Yeah. Oh. Yes, I can understand. Dave Licata was talking about a long time ago, there was a pay-per-view wrestling that went about 5 minutes. And everybody went pretty upset. anyhow, what they used to call the pay-per-views are on the Peacock network. And they talk about those all the time. So if you watch the other two times, you'll know when they are. No, now it's called a premium live event. And that's about all I've got, so.
Thanks, Jill. Before I hand it back over to you, Eric. So last week, someone said, go online and check out Jackie on television. Okay, and somebody sent the link. Oh, thanks, Eric. Yeah, and I knew it was somebody. So I decided I didn't know it was you, but anyway. So I decided to check it out, and Jackie, I just have to say you were incredible. You were awesome. You did a great job, and you promoted Toastmasters. You mentioned everything. That was awesome, and the poise, and you must have been Toastmasters for a while. You must have learned a lot from Toastmasters.
Jackie, thank you very much for picking up the ball in that instance, because Rob initially contacted me and I was looking at my email after I got home from work, and it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I responded, but I never pressed send because someone complained that I pressed send at 2 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for picking up the ball. You got the message. Also, thank you for doing that. That's all I wanted to say.
That's all I had to say. Gold star for that. Thank you so much. I was riveted. That was excellent job, Eric.
Thank you, Mike. Nancy, would you like to call for the winners?
Yes,
The
our,
ribbons underneath.
well, you get those and I'll get this. All right. Our best table topics, a round of applause for Maggie Craig. Puppies. Our best evaluator, Kate Orr. And our best speaker, Steve Smith. Congratulations. And now you get to pick out of what, 3 tickets or something? Forgot to buy my ticket.
Last 3 numbers? Last 3 numbers. 8, 3, 2.
You want to close out?
Yep. Before we close the meeting, Nancy, you forgot one thing that we do. It's a toast. Yes, we shall toast. All right, Nancy, you want to do the toast?
With my electrolyte water. That's new to me. Our toast to taking care of ourselves, healthy hearts, and a wonderful, happy Valentine's season. Love yourself first.
Thank you, Nancy. Well, our guest, Peggy, you like to come back up and give her. No pressure, though. If you like to come up. Yeah, you come on up. Welcome.
I wish I could have been on one of the table talks because that's my forte. And I was all upset because I thought, I have something to say. I have something to say. And I didn't get an opportunity. And I'm equally upset. I'm going to knock over the lectern. Is that a bad thing? Because I'm going to Florida and I won't be here next week. So I won't have that opportunity for the second. So I guess we have 1 more week. So maybe put me on table talks in the end of the month, and that would be great. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed hearing everybody talk. and especially the topic. And I have a lot of things to say about that topic. So thank you very much for having me back. And I'll see you after Florida, and I'll show you my tan lines when I get back. Thank you.
Avis, would you like to come up again? Yes, please come on. Yep, please come on up.
Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure.
Just really quickly, I have to thank Nancy for the very warm welcome. Nancy? When I came in today, yes, when I came in today, she gave me a very warm welcome. And it's always great to be here because not only does Nancy give a warm welcome, all of you do. So I love AM Lockport. Oh, yeah. And blue. The other thing I said, I didn't know it was red. And she said, yeah, but veins are blue. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, District Director. I have one thing for Steve. Steve, I figure out your wrestling name, the astronomer. All right, quickly before we wrap it up, our Toastmaster for next week is Tracy Farrell. Our speakers are David Jones, Mark Campos, and Marshall. And does anybody have any quick announcements before we adjourn? All right. Have a great weekend. We'll see everybody next week.